Hey, what's up, y'all? So, are you thinking about moving to Bowling Green, Kentucky, but really want to find out how much it's going to cost to live there? Well, in this video, we are going to be doing a full overview of the cost of living in Bowling Green. All right, so we're going to be going over taxes, we're going to be going over home prices, rental prices, food, gas, pretty much everything, guys. But more than anything, we are going to be showing you what kind of lifestyle that you can afford here. All right, but stick around, we're getting to it right now. Now, just like I said in one of my last videos, why Bowling Green, right? Well, it is a great mix of a lot of things. You got Western Kentucky University that brings a really fun energy to the area. It's Corvette plant, which is pretty awesome. You also have just a really cool southern charm to the area that you just don't get in very many big towns, all right? And also it has a fantastic downtown area. They have tons of events and everything, which is really cool. And on top of that, it is located perfectly. So it is really close to I-65, and that is kind of like right in between Louisville and Nashville. So if Bowling Green doesn't have something, you want to go to a concert or comedy show or something like that doesn't have it available in Bowling Green, you're not too far from a big city. Now, of course, one person's idea of cost of living to another's is always different, but that's why I'm going to be showing you a lot of averages, ranges, and that kind of thing, just to give you a better idea of what things cost, and you can figure out what would be a good fit for you. But let's dive in head first with housing, all right? So, of course, housing is typically the largest expense, so I figured we should tackle that first, all right? So, luckily, Bowling Green is between 20 and 30% lower than the national average, which definitely makes a pretty big difference right off the bat. But let's break it down. Okay, so let's talk about rent first. So right now, it is May of 2025, and average rent for an apartment is around $1,000. So let's dig a little bit deeper just to give you a better understanding, all right? So now, of course, if you are just looking for something small, like a simple one bedroom, that kind of thing, you're talking around $800 to $900 range, which is not too bad. But you can also get something cheaper in like less desirable area, or just, need some more of a fixer-upper, that kind of deal. But then also, if you want something that's a little bit more desirable, more amenities, that kind of thing, you can definitely expect to pay a little bit more. That's how it works, obviously. But if you're looking to actually rent a house or a big apartment, it's like a 3-bedroom, that kind of thing, you should be expecting to chuck up about $1,300 to $1,500, all the way up to about $2,000. So sometimes if you are in a very desirable area or has a lot of amenities or something like that, good school zone, all that stuff, you can expect to be a little bit higher price point. But one disclaimer, I will have to say I am a real estate agent, but I mostly do purchases. I don't do too many rentals, but I have some good resources. A couple of websites that I use quite a bit is rentcafe.com and apartments.com. I've also used realtor.com some, and that's been a pretty good resource. But for everything that is holy, do not get on Craigslist. That website is trash. It is nothing but scammers and all this stuff, and you're just going to lose money. So just don't get on that one. But when it comes to buying a home in Bowling Green, you're definitely in a good spot. So prices are lower than the average, around $300,000, where nationally it's around $500,000, y'all. So it's kind of crazy. All right, one metric a lot of people use is price per square foot. Personally, I don't like using this because it never shows the size of the lot or anything like that. And if you're sitting on like a 2,000 square foot home on a quarter acre versus a 2,000 square foot home on 2 acres, but most likely the first one would look like it is a better price because it will probably be a little bit cheaper, but obviously not the truth. But regardless, the average price per square foot in the area is about $150 to $180 range. But give it a little bit better perspective, if you venture on down to Nashville, you're sitting around $300. So that makes a pretty big difference. Even though Nashville notoriously has like almost no land on their homes and everything. You're talking about like 0.14 acres or some crap. It's crazy. Now, buying a home obviously is not just about the sticker price. You have to get the factor in all things. Okay, your down payment, closing costs, property taxes, homeowners insurance, HOA fees, all that stuff. All right. And another thing you got to think about is flood insurance, okay? So make sure that you're not in the flood zone as well, because that will definitely be a pretty penny as well. All right, so property taxes are relatively low in the area. So in Bowling Green, it's like 0.008%, which basically means if you're buying a $300,000 home, you can expect your property taxes about $2,500. But if you are thinking about specific neighborhoods and that kind of thing, the kind of rule of thumb for the area, I would say, is look at school zones. Even if you don't have kids, there's a lot of people that have kids or they're buying homes, that kind of thing. So it is kind of a rule of thumb that if you are looking at South Warren School District as well as Greenwood School District, most likely it's going to be a little higher price than, say, like north side of Bowling Green. So that's just a kind of reference. But if you have any questions about what areas are cheaper or more expensive, that kind of thing, just give me a call. I'd be happy to, just guide you and try to get you figured out. But as affordable as Bowling Green is right now, markets change all the time. And I'm sure you're aware, if you're serious about moving here, I think it's a good idea to keep on the lookout for up-to-date listings and that kind of thing, just to get an idea of market trends. So if you want, you can check out the description below where I have my website information there, and you can, log in, and I won't bother you too much, I promise you. And you can just look to see what homes are for sale and prices and that kind of thing, certain areas. You got a map and everything. It's a pretty great website, to be honest, but it definitely has all the information you want. But as important as housing prices are, there are some things that are quite important as well that we definitely need to go over. And one of those things is utilities, okay? But before we get into that, I wanted to remind you guys I am a licensed realtor in Kentucky as well as Tennessee. So if you are looking to move to the area, whether it be 6 months, 6 weeks, or 6 years from now, just give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. I'd love to help you guys out. And don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel for your weekly fix of information about the area. But let's get into utilities, all right? So of course, your mortgage is only a small piece of what you're going to have to pay every month to let your house be a home, right? You also have to pay for electricity, gas, water, sewage, internet, all that stuff. But which luckily it is significantly lower than pretty much anywhere else nationally. So obviously your electric bill is going to be quite a bit lower in the milder months than the extreme weathers, okay? Now, I have heard some experts try to tell you that you keep your air conditioning set at like 78 and your heat set at 65, and that will definitely help your electric bill and also helps your air conditioning unit just last longer. But I'm pretty sure if I kept my heat on 65, I'd be murdered by my wife in the middle of the night. So I am not touching that thermostat, and I am just going to keep that sucker on 72 all the time. So that's what we got to do. And I'll just have to get a new AC unit one day. So of course, not all homes have natural gas, but that is something that we should probably talk about. It usually will help with heating, hot water, as well as the occasional fireplace, depending on how much you use it and what it's used for. I would say probably about $50 to $100 a month. So you also got water and sewer. All right. So typically it's billed together, as well as that also depends on your situation. And if you're like me, that has daughters that like to have their Hollywood showers and all that stuff, you might be on the higher end what it's going to cost, but typically it's between 40 to 80 bucks. But before we get to the next one, I want to tell you guys about this crazy story that just happened to me last week. All right, so I closed on this house and we had been under contract for roughly around 40 days. So obviously we've already done the inspections, the appraisals, and all that stuff. Everything else is good to go. We got the clear to close and everything already. About 5 days before we were supposed to close, my buyer reached out to the water company to get utilities set up in his name. But once we get to Warren County Water, they were like, we don't service your house. Weird, right? Well, after the seller did some digging, she found out that after 22 years, y'all, she just now realized that she had a septic system, not sewer.
What? What? Who?
This entire time, she thought that her bill was combined. So, I mean, that's just something I've never seen in my entire career. It's kind of crazy. But luckily, it worked out. The septic system was inspected and pumped and everything. Everything was good to go. And we closed on time. So, no big hiccup. It's just, one of those things in real estate. So, trash and recycling is about 15 to 30 bucks a month. So internet, that's pretty much standard nationally. Okay, so you're looking at around 50 to 100 bucks a month. Of course, that also depends on what type of service you use, what company you use, all that stuff. You want to have that high speed so you can play your video games and all that stuff. I mean, you're going to pay a little bit more. But when you add up all the utilities combined, you're looking at around $300 to $500 a month. All right, so next up, we're going to talk about transportation. All right, so Bowling Green is definitely not like a New York City, Chicago, or even Nashville, where there are a decent amount of people that just use public transportation. They just Uber everywhere and that kind of thing. So Bowling Green does have Uber and that kind of thing available. They also have what is called BG Go. They have like fixed routes and that kind of thing, just your typical bus stops kind of deal. A lot of stuff in downtown, a lot of stuff going to the schools and that kind of thing. And they have pretty affordable like weekly, daily, and monthly passes. So I mean, it's a pretty good little option you got. But if you do own a car, first off, you got to register your car, right? And taxes here are a little bit higher than typical. Okay, so about 6% of the vehicle's retail price. Unfortunately, they either take your word for it when it comes to what you bought the car for, or 90% of the Kelley Blue Book value, basically. And whatever is highest, that's what they go for. So the good old days of like buying a $30,000 vehicle and say you bought it for 10, those are not going to fly here in Kentucky. I'll tell you what, guys. Also, car insurance is one of those things that varies just widely depending on the driver, but typically Bowling Green is lower than national average. So another obvious thing we are going to have to talk about is gas prices, y'all. If you have been around more than 5 minutes, you know the gas prices fluctuate all the time, depending on, what's going on in the world, guys. So, I mean, that's really where it's at. But one of the cool things that I like to do personally is I like to track gas prices on Google Maps. So you can get on Google Maps anytime, certain areas you want, and you just type in gas prices and it will actually show you what the gas prices are in that area. You just toggle down, no matter where you want to go, you just check that map and it will show you what the gas prices are. So, I mean, I think that's really helpful if you are looking to move to a certain area. I looked to LA the other day and it's like double what I pay, so it's kind of crazy. But as far as like Bowling Green, you're sitting right now, at least you're sitting around the $2.60 to $2.70 per gallon mark. So it's not too bad. So overall, even with the extra taxes you have on car tags, Bowling Green is still quite a bit less expensive when it comes to transportation. So I still think it is a great area to move to, absolutely. But we have talked about some of the essentials, but now let's talk about my favorite thing. Let's talk about food, baby. All right, y'all, so everybody's got to eat, right? So obviously I do, but your food budget is going to depend heavily on, of course, what type of food you eat and if you like to cook at home, or if you like to go out to eat quite a bit, and it definitely makes a difference, all right? So there are a ton of different grocery stores here in Bowling Green. They have some major chains like Sam's, Walmart, Publix, that kind of thing. But I wanted to show you some examples of prices in the area. So I figured the best place to show you is America's Shopping Center, baby. Let's go to Walmart. So I'm going to look at one of the local Walmart sites in Bowling Green and see what everything is priced like, okay? So first things first, a gallon of milk in Walmart is $2.42 a gallon. A dozen eggs is priced at $3.94. Not bad for so-called egg prices, y'all. So 80/20 hamburger meat is $6.33 a pound. Boneless chicken breast is $2.67 a pound. I remember back before COVID, if you saw chicken that was over $2, you wouldn't even look at it. And now anything under $3, and you consider that a deal. I don't understand it, guys. I really don't. But minimum wage sure ain't changing either, y'all. Absolutely. It's kind of nuts. Anyway, all right. So corn is about $1 for 3. You got a head of lettuce for $1.84, and you get a 5-pound bag of russet potatoes for $5.64. That's not bad. You can definitely get quite a few meals out of that. But let's check out what it's going to cost when you eat out, all right? So Bowling Green definitely has a nice variety of restaurants, from fast food to casual dining. They even have some nice local spots. The cost of eating here is generally quite reasonable, to be honest, all right? And Bowling Green does have all the chain restaurants available, but personally, I just love the local eats. But so one of my local favorites is Montana Grill. This place is cool. This restaurant makes you think that you are having dinner at John Dutton's house, for real. It's a big log cabin, has great decor, and even has better food, y'all. So they have everything from burgers to seafood, steaks, barbecue, and more, all right? Another good one is 440 Main, which is right on Fountain Square, downtown Bowling Green. This place is a Cajun restaurant that also serves some seriously good steaks and burgers, guys. I just hope they don't move because it's literally on 440 East Main Street, which, to be honest, if they move, it would be a bit awkward. But these places are a little bit more expensive than some of the other ones, but your average casual meal in Bowling Green area for a sit-down restaurant, you're looking at about $25 per person before, like, of course, drinks and tips and that kind of thing. But combining groceries and dining out, your total food budget will depend on your lifestyle, okay? So, however, if you're really trying to be budget conscious and you don't know how to cook, give me a call, guys. I got some seriously good recipes for you to die for. You're going to love it. All right, so next up, let's talk about one of the more important things. Let's talk about healthcare, all right? So healthcare can really be the kind of a wild card that you need to think about. So more than anything, you just got to check with your insurance provider just to make sure that there are clinics in the hospital here do have you covered, all right? If not, you might need to switch locations that you're looking for, unfortunately, or you need to switch carriers. But I would say one good thing about Bowling Green, it does have a pretty good hospital here, and that is Medical Center Health. And just to let you know, that is where yours truly was born. But a few things about Medical Center is that it is a major health provider for the area. It has a hospital, of course. It also has a lot of different clinics, specialty practices, and all that stuff around town. They also run the county 911 ambulance service. And all that said, the hospital and clinics around here are definitely cheaper than the national average. But like I said, that also has to do with your insurance provider and how much they cover you, okay? So just got to keep that in mind. All right, beyond the essentials that you know that you absolutely have to pay for, there are a few things that we should talk about as far as spending goes. All right, so first off, if you have kids and need to put them in daycare, it is essential that you know how much daycare costs. So around here, the average cost is between $600 and $1,200 a month. I know it's ridiculous. But back in my day, my parents didn't spend even a tenth of that. However, my sister did fall down the stairs while under care. So yeah, I mean, you kind of get what you pay for too sometimes. But you absolutely need to have that in mind. Also, if you just are wanting your local teenager or whoever to do it for you, roughly it's around 15 to 20 bucks a month. But pretty much everything here is lower than normal, okay? So entertainment wise, you have K-Pack, which isn't like an arts center, it's like an entertainment center. It's kind of cool. They have a lot of music events and comedy specials and plays and that kind of thing. And so, I mean, it's kind of cool, guys. I mean, it really is. They have symphonies out there and all that stuff. Just recently, Nate Bargatze, who is like hugely well known, performed there. So, I mean, they do actually get some pretty good names out there. So they have Bowling Green Athletic Club here, and it is pretty great, guys. So it's a bigger gym, kind of similar to the size of like a Gold's Gym would be, and it's really nice. So they have a couple of them here in Bowling Green, and they are about $35 a month, and so it's not that bad, and it's a pretty good gym. So definitely should check that out. Clothing wise are pretty standard here as well, so nothing too surprising that's going to cause like a big change in your lifestyle or anything like that for you, so you don't have to worry about nothing like that. Also, guys, if you're not working remotely and you're wanting a job here in Bowling Green, you probably should know the average income is around $50,000 here, where somewhere like Nashville is only about $15,000 more. And all the extra expenses they have in Nashville compared to Bowling Green, I think you're sitting pretty good, to be honest. But that's pretty much it, guys. So like I said, Bowling Green definitely has a couple things that are more expensive, but as a whole, Bowling Green is a much less expensive place to live, especially for a bigger town that has a lot of amenities and that is fairly safe too, because I feel like that's important, absolutely. But if you have any questions at all, or if you are looking to move to the area, just give me a call, shoot me a text, or send me an email, and I would be happy to help. But guys, until the next one, I'll see you later.